Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from Vienna. First of all, let me congratulate the organizers for assembling a truly interdisciplinary virtual conference dealing with homes from historic, prehistoric, and archaeological perspectives. Barbara and I are pleased to participate and present a few insights from the homes in the making at the dawn of the accountancy and metrology in Western Anatolia. My name is Sabina Cvecek, and I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the Austrian Archaeological Institute within the research group Prehistoric Phenomena, led by Professor Barbara Horejs. Today's presentation rests on results of my PhD, in which I look at households and social organization at Cvecek from socio-cultural anthropological perspectives. This would not have been possible without the results of my colleagues who have, under Barbara's leadership, conducted excavations, processed and analyzed the archaeological material at Cvecek since 2009. This short presentation is structured in 4 parts. First, I will present the research context for the Early Bronze Age 1 period in Western Anatolia. I will then provide an overview of research conducted at Cvecek, including household archaeology and archaeometallurgical research, based on which we will draw our conclusions. We will then look at the evidence for metalworking at Cvecek, as well as in the wider region, to finally revisit what has constituted homes at the dawn of accountancy and metrology in Western Anatolia. To address this question, we use the home as the lens through which we may understand local social organization and follow the ethnographic insight that homes are living spaces, always in the making. They are never completed, but always unfinished projects, as Sarah Pink has outlined, and which can be further exemplified in the following quote by Raymond Firth, who in The Social Change in Tikopia wrote, "Change of dwelling place is not simply a material change. It reflects structural considerations and personal choices. It may be related to principles of descent and inheritance. It may mean a change in size or constitution of residential kin groups. It may have repercussions on relations with neighbors. In short, physical movement may relate to the concept of what makes up a proper social unit." This claim has Raymond Firth generated after restudying a Polynesian community of Tikopia after a generation. He understood that changes in dwelling spaces, or homes, reflect changes in social organization among the sedentary non-state societies. With this in mind, let us now look at the forms of dwelling at the dawn of the Early Bronze Age in Western Anatolia. The Early Bronze Age 1 in Western Anatolia marks a crucial step in the gradual formation of proto-urban societies during the 3rd millennium BC, strongly related to the dynamic and complex social-cultural processes. The social impact of these dynamic developments has long been known in a much discussed phenomenon in the Aegean and Anatolian Early Bronze Age. The Early Bronze Age 1 settlements in Western Anatolia were more often than not fortified and constituted of densely shoulder-to-shoulder built longhouses within these enclosures. The establishment of a few large centers with massive fortifications and a new dominant role in exchange systems is probably closely linked to the culmination of political and social power as manifested in later sites dating to the Early Bronze Age 2, such as Troy 2, Liman Tepe 5, and others dating from 2700 BC onwards. These extensive trade systems, or the so-called Anatolia trade network and the Great Caravan Route, have linked Western Anatolia with the Levant and even the Central Asia. They have been attested through introduction of new pottery vessels, tin trade, and a wider spread of metal tools and weapons. The much smaller site of Cvecek did not play a major role in these large-scale developments in the supraregional political influence, as the site was abandoned around 2700 BC. Nevertheless, Cvecek has been an important hub for metal production and trade at the time that Lorenz Ramstorff defined as the age of accountancy and metrology. Today, the multi-period site of Cvecek is located at the central western Anatolian coastline in the southern vicinity of the ancient city of Ephesus. Based on the reconstruction of the prehistoric coastline, Cvecek can be identified as a coastal site in prehistoric times. The mound consists of 8.5 meters of occupational layers dating from the 7th to the beginning of the 3rd millennium of BC, meaning from the early Neolithic to the early Bronze Age period. The early Bronze Age 1 occupation at the site dates between 3050 and 2750 Cal BC. And this period will also be the focus of our today's presentation. The early Bronze Age settlement at Cvecek was established by erecting freestanding rectangular houses upon burned and level preceding late Chalcolithic settlement layer. Within approximately 100 years or 4 human generations, these initially freestanding rectangular houses with much of open space surrounding them became agglutinated. In each building phase, new houses were erected next to the pre-existing ones, shoulder to shoulder. Over time, houses have grown closely together, so far that only tiny alleys have separated groups of houses within agglutinated village settlements. The large number of tools excavated for Cvecek has allowed identifying all the production stages of various metal objects. Production of arsenical copper apart from tin bronzes and silver alloys, dating to the beginning of the 3rd millennium BC, all point towards the complex smelting processes that took place at Cvecek. Now let us look at the spatial organization of metalworking at Cvecek. As a fire installation is an integral part of metalworking kit, the distribution of fireplaces within the settlement may reflect the spatial organization of metalworking. From both early Bronze Age 1 phases, Cvecek 3 and 4, a total of 49 fire installations have been excavated, of which 26 are classified as a bowl and 23 as shoe-shaped furnaces. These furnaces were used for metalworking and other household activities and are on this map marked with use in red color. Most of the fireplaces were found inside houses and not in the open area. The ovens are of 2 types, as I said, bowl and horseshoe shape, but none of the ovens could be exclusively linked to copper production, as the same ovens were also used for cooking. Items linked with metal production, including clay, tuyères, mold, slag, unfinished and finished metal items, but also grinding stones, tripod cooking pots, and bone stirring spoons linked to the food preparation were commonly found close to these ovens. Apart from cooking and metalworking, the ovens were also used for the disposal of food waste, namely fish bones and mollusks. Within the rooms, hearths were mostly located in the center and occasionally rebuilt in the same spot after the floor has been replastered. Hearths and ovens were also found in the corners of the rooms, but their position moved within the house's use life and does not indicate a strict continuity in either location or number of the fireplaces transmitted through generations. To get a closer look at the internal organization of space at Cvecek, let us now have a look inside room 43 as indicated on the map. According to our colleague Maria Röckinga, in room 43, along 249 characteristic shirts predominate shallow bowls and especially knickranschalen. A central superimposed heart was found in 2 different using horizons. Close to the central heart were clustered metal objects such as needle, awl, metal fragment, and a wire, pointing towards metal production at the center of the room. In the northeastern corner of the room 43 were found loom weights and a spindle whorl, pointing towards textile production. In the southwestern corner was found another heart, while a spindle whorl nearby, pointing again towards textile production. In proximity to the hearths were also found tripod, cooking pots, and the most pottery finds comprise shallow bowls. Therefore, room 43 was interpreted as a multifunctional, multi-crafting room. Room 43 exemplifies a common pattern of multifunctional domestic spaces at Cvecek with a multiplicity of household activities. These comprise food preparation, consumption and storage, textile production, leatherworking, and metal production. All of these activities were present within houses without a standardized pattern. Household activities at Cvecek were not static, but moved around house floors in different use horizons. For example, whereas hearths were commonly located within the center, they were also commonly found in northeastern and southern corners. On a settlement level, metalworking and textile production were attested in multiple houses without following the same pattern within houses. This map demonstrates the spread of metal finds, including tools linked with metal production at a site. As it can be visible, metalworking was scattered across the site and therefore formed a key domestic household practice that defined the Cvecek homes at the dawn of the Bronze Age. Metalworking was practiced both at the periphery of the town settlement as well as in the settlement center. This evidence continually speaks against one specialist metal producer trader household, but supports the production of metal at the household level. Metalworking at Cvecek has not been a practice of distinction between houses and homes, but was a shared household activity. At Cvecek, the archaeological evidence does not support a spatial or temporal separation between metalworking and other domestic activities. Moreover, hearths were multifunctional installations that were used for cooking, metalworking, heating, and disposal of the food waste, such as mollusks and fish bones. Moreover, this evidence hints towards a more fluid rather than exclusively binary gender relations linked with metalworking within households. The absence of metalworking at Cvecek, the assemblage of metalworking at Cvecek starkly differs from the wider region. For example, only one metalworker trader workshop has been identified at other regional sites such as Troy 1, Limantepe, Baklatepe, Emporio, and Horejs. Two metalworking rooms have been identified at Polyochny and a metalworking quarter at Telmi. In comparison, at Cvecek, metalworking was a village expertise that fostered sharing and competition between households rather than a distinction between them. The archaeological evidence from Cvecek and the wider region now allows us to understand what made homes at a time when the age of accountancy and metrology had started, and how the idea of homes differed within the region. Processes of centralization underpinned social organization in a few other regional sites, which can be seen in a single or a few metalworking workshops at the site. These houses were distinct from others, and as Urania Kuka has argued, the metalworker trader households define a central, monumental building or a seat of chief. In contrast, at Cvecek, the evidence does not support a single metalworking trader household. Instead, decentralized sharing of metalworking knowledge and competition between houses defined local developments at Cvecek. If we recall the quote from Raymond Firth to understand changes in dwelling spaces as changes in social organization, then we can conclude that a more likely decentralized social organization, as seen from Cvecek, coexisted with more centralized constellations at the dawn of accountancy and metrology in Western Anatolia. To conclude, homes at Cvecek included metalworking, which was a specialist domestic activity or a household practice. This does not imply that metalworking would have been a year-round, full-time activity within Cvecek homes, but that metalworking could have been a seasonal activity. More than 30 years ago, Caroline Humphrey claimed that there is, and I quote, "no place like home in anthropology," the end of quote. Concerning the common archaeological interpretation of metalworking, it seems that there is no place like home for metal workers. Even when metalworking as a craft takes place within homes, these homes are quickly turned into workshops in archaeological interpretations. Therefore, it is time to see homes as they are for two reasons. First, this will allow us to better understand what has made up homes within the same time span or even within the same geographical region. And second, it will allow us to grasp a full diversity of human possibilities of what homes are and can be. Last but not least, we would like to thank the organizers of this conference for allowing us to present parts of our work, as well as the Austrian Science Fund and the European Research Council for funding our investigations at Cvecek. Please feel free to access Cvecek publications in our open access repository of the ERC project Prehistoric Phenomena and follow us on Twitter. Thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to the live discussion with you. Thank you.